Alright, hello everyone. Hello, Nathaniel's Custom Gundam. Welcome back. Congrats on finishing your raise. You should just observe it for a while, appreciate it for what it is, pose it a bit. You'll figure out what you want to do with it later. Hello, Blue Parappa. Thank you for checking in. Does the stream sound and look okay? Whoa, look, it's Jetto Hobby. You made it. Welcome. Alright, thanks, Blue Parappa. Don't have anything carbonated today, but I have this on-brand mug here. Shout out to my brother Finn for getting this for me. It's not carbonated, so I don't know how many burps we'll get in tonight, but maybe at least one. Before we get right into painting the skin color, I just need to put a little bit of matte medium down on the snakes because I don't like how they look shiny, and I just want them to look matte for my just so they look better for the stream, basically. Do that, and then we're gonna start working on the dinosaur skin. Alright, thanks, Nathaniel. So how's everyone doing tonight? What's everyone working on, or what are you up to this fine Wednesday? If you're here for the first stream where I painted Kroq-Gar, you'll see that I finished up the highlights and details of these snakes here off stream. I just wanted the next streaming session for this to not have to... I didn't want to have to paint any more base details since I spent the entire last stream painting the base. And then of course some of you were probably already also at the stream I did yesterday where I built the Gundam, which was fun. Hello, Sage. Welcome back. Yeah, I spent a lot of time just staring at the high-grade Ryusei Go last night, trying to decide what I wanted to do with it. I really like the look of that kit. The transformation's a little flimsy, kinda as you would expect for a high grade, but it's definitely good enough for my purposes. The question is, how distracted am I? How much is that project gonna distract me from the other things I need to do? Oh boy. Glad you stayed up so late for me, Jetto. You have my permission to jet out whenever you need to. You don't need to stay up past 3 in the morning for me, but I'm glad you made it. Alright, that matte medium's drying on there. Oh, nice that you've watched that, Nathaniel. Yeah, I've watched that Astaroth video too. It's a good one. I was thinking about that video today, actually, when I was looking at my Ryusei Go. Ah, I see, Jetto. Yeah, Jetto, you did a good job, or you showed off your masking skills in that Astaroth video, from what I remember. Sneak peek for those of you in the stream, I did a tiny bit of work on the Space Marine today. I just basically painted its base, that was it. So I'll be painting some more on that tomorrow, hopefully. So there's a special sneak peek as a present to everyone who showed up to the stream nice and early. Hey, what's up, Bo? Welcome back. And then if you weren't in the stream yesterday, I took the pictures of this. I just haven't posted them to social media yet. We got the Ryusei Go. I gave it some panel lining. This is the mini painting stream, so I'm not going to transform it on stream, but here it is. You'll be able to see pics of it transformed, I don't know, maybe tomorrow. I'm not sure when I'm going to post the pictures yet. That sounds like fun, Nathaniel. I always like teams of suits. Salamander. If you're wondering what the dinosaur is, Bo, it's the carnosaur from last time, not quite a salamander. Okay. And gonna use the fancy sable brush this time, although this one's seen a lot of use, so the tip isn't in the best shape. I'll have to get one with a better tip soon enough, depending on how detailed of a project I need to do. I have a size 1 Windsor Noon as well. That's a newer brush, so it's in better condition. The Space Marine. Yes, I like the salamanders. I had a Land Raider I was working on once that it was gonna be a salamander one, but I never ended up doing much with that project. Okay, so right here we have Idrian Flesh, and this is gonna be just kind of like the, what would you call it, the shadow tone for the skin, or like the base tone for the skin all over the dinosaur. The water pot isn't right next to the mic this time. It's not quite optimized. And yeah, I would have explained like way back on my first stream with this how I airbrushed it a long time ago, so I don't have like this original skin tone anymore. And you know, it's not the best airbrushing job, so I'm just gonna be painting over most of it. But I am gonna be preserving as much of like the red that was airbrushed on as I can. And you know, especially for areas down here, like there isn't much airbrush stuff that's worth preserving. And earlier today I did some like repair and like with some liquid green stuff and some sanding, and then just gave that a layer of the Idrian Flesh, just because that was slightly messier work I didn't want to do on stream. Oh, Bo, you were talking about the Space Marine I had up there. It's not gonna be a salamander. It's gonna have a custom chapter, so you'll see what that's all about when the video for it comes out. And yeah, it's I think this is called I want to say it's an Eradicator. It's from the Indominus set. It's just kind of like the heavy weapon team. It comes with 3 of them, so I guess it's a heavy melta or something. I don't know. I'm very rusty at actual 40k. I've only really played Kill Team and then like really old editions of 40k. Now your question makes sense. Jose, greetings from Puerto Rico. Oh, thanks for checking in to the stream. Glad to have you here. And Sage, I have not built the real grade crossbone, but I hear that's a good one. Okay, so let's just get cracking on laying down some Idrian Flesh. I thought about mixing this with a bit of Citadel Contrast Medium, but I think I'm gonna wait till I'm on like the more of the highlighty areas of the skin until I break out that stuff. This is very much just kind of like blocking in the shadow tones. And yeah, hopefully the focus of the camera isn't too all over the place. Oh no, you spilt a pot of P3. That's the good stuff. And you were painting a Zaku too. Sorry to hear that. About the spilled paint, not the Zaku. Hopefully you're able to clean it up without too much of a hassle. And yeah, I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna like do the blend in between the red and the skin here. That's kind of something we'll figure out when we get there. Like a lot of my painting choices, I just delay making a call on it and figure it out later. Okay, let's just focus on the tail for now. This is a big model. I kind of have to take it one section at a time. But it's gonna be easier to show y'all what I'm doing this time, since I'm not painting all the awkward nooks and crannies in the base. Nathaniel, I haven't done much joint tightening myself. I hear you can do it with a dot of super glue. Yeah, Bo, I've been discouraged painting big models before, but it's usually because I have unrealistic expectations of how long they're gonna take to paint. You just kind of have to accept that it's gonna take multiple sessions, and you just break it down into little steps. You know, like this Carnosaur here, focus on getting the base done first, and now we're focusing on just the underside of the skin. Then we'll focus on the red hide sections. And yeah, I don't have a set deadline for when I want this to be done. I just know it's gonna take a while. So it's all about setting realistic expectations. Let's move on to the other side of the tail. You fixed your crossbones, Sage. What was wrong with it? You're welcome, Nathaniel. And for those of you that are wondering, this is the same wet palette I had last time I painted this. I managed to balance the water in it correctly to preserve the paints in it and not have them just bleed out and spill everywhere. And this section here is where I was kind of testing out the paints I was thinking of using to see if it would they would be appropriate. This stage of painting the skin is gonna be, it's gonna take a while, but it's pretty like low precision and relaxing, so I'm confident I'll be able to get through it. I thought about tackling the red hide sections first, but this part's probably a bit more important to get done first. The arm snapped. Oh, hey, Plamo Therapist, you made it. Everyone watching, if you haven't checked out Plamo Therapist's side of our Kit Bash collab, make sure you do so, and just watch his videos in general. Some excellent tutorials to be had over there. Alright, yeah, and there's some more of that base, or this was more of that kind of sanding I did on the underside here. So that's why the colors looks a bit different. That'll all get blended in eventually. A lot easier to focus the camera on what I'm painting this time versus painting the base last time. Yeah, glad you could join the stream, Taz, just as I've got the camera pointed right up this dino's butt. Oh, there's a kind of tricky area to show on camera now. Yeah, for this foot down here, it's got so much paint splatter from other parts that... Oh yeah, and then there's even some red there I haven't blended in. That'll be interesting to figure out. Let's just kind of paint all over it right now. Area is just kind of gonna need a solid base coat compared to the others. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out exactly how I want to do the red and get those blends in on here to match everything else. It's gonna be an interesting challenge that could have been avoided if I had just planned out my projects better. Although when I built and airbrushed this model originally, that was like over 5 years ago, so I was in a much more noob mindset, I guess. Thanks DT Warrior, and hello Ethan Nelson. And Nathaniel, just having a stool sounds uncomfortable. I just got my chair from like an office supply store in town. I don't know any, and it was on sale because someone returned it, so I don't have any specific recommendations for you. And Sage, the most favorite gunpla I've built, it's probably the master grade Barbatos. But I like almost all my builds fairly equally. The master grade Barbatos is just my go-to answer because that's like my most recent project in general that I think looks the best and that I'm just proud of. Gotta be a little careful here, make sure I don't get any on the rock on the base that's already been painted. Your work chair is a foldable metal chair from Walmart, Taz? Oh, is that like work, like your day job? Damn. Either way, that's not a great chair. Yes, indeed, Jetto Plamotherapist is in the house. Oh boy, just ignore that seam line on his leg, okay, everybody? Oh, the camera wasn't even focused on it, it's fine. Yeah, I guess I kind of just have to think of the red that's already on this from like 5 years ago as just like a foundation to build my final red on. Just so I can make everything nice and consistent. Okay, we gotta get to the tricky parts of the toes here. Yeah, I guess you can sort of see what I'm painting in there, but it's kind of hard. I'll just try and get this part over with quickly. I wouldn't say this is one of the very prominent areas in the models anyway, so I don't want to put too much time into it. And of course, you know, with me, everything's gonna get tied together with a nice bath of Army Painter strong or soft tone at the end, or at the, when the skin's all painted. Sage, I don't think any of those is better than the other. It depends on what you want to do. Like, perfect grades are cool and all, but some of us just, the space it would take up is not worth it. And, you know, even for some of us, that could be said for master grade as well. Like, if you have limited shelf space, you can fit more real grades and high grades on it than master grades. But master grade kits tend to have more fun gimmicks and stuff in the builds that makes them more unique, so it's all just a combination of preference, what you're in the mood for, you know. It's the really unsatisfying answer that comes with many recommendations that is that it depends. I've built every line except perfect grade, and I don't feel like I can say any of them is the best or better. Let's just get a bit more in between the toes there, and then we can move on to the other leg. I suppose when I get tired of painting this Idrian flesh color as a break color, I can paint the nails. And I like the look of having like the black nails, kind of like what I did with the Stegodon. Because, you know, it's a dinosaur for a fantasy game, so it doesn't have to be realistic colors. Yeah, exactly, Jetto. If you have limited shelf space, you might want to not buy too many master grades. Yeah, there's a lot to like in master grades for sure. I do like me some master grades. I had a lot of fun building a high grade yesterday though. Probably because I was able to finish it in like less than 3 hours. Yeah, I think you could definitely say that this is definitely in the ass phase of the model in our painting journey. But it's a large model, so it's going to take a while to work our way out of the ass phase. Alright, thanks for coming by, Jetto. Have a good night. Appreciate it. Sorry, Chad, just concentrating on painting these dinosaur toes here. Hello, Nathaniel's cat. Yeah, cats and sometimes cats and hobby can mix, like, you know, Goobertown Hobbies, he's got his cats in his videos all the time, but, you know, it's never fun to paint a cat hair into a mini. I've done that before. Alright, thanks for stopping by, Plamotherapist, appreciate you. Have a good rest of your Wednesday. If I had already painted the red hide and stuff, I'd probably be wearing a glove for all the handling I'd be doing on this. But I just don't want to get a, like, sweaty, clammy hand right now, I guess. If I had to choose Gundam 000 or Gundam Wing, which one would you watch? I've already seen a decent amount of Gundam Wing. I've only seen 3 episodes of Gundam 00 though, so I guess I'd watch 00. I did enjoy the 3 episodes of it I did watch. And yeah, me and Blue Parappa watched Gundam Wing. We got to episode 30 or something, and we just haven't picked it back up yet. It'd be, you know, we've watched enough of it. We kind of I know, like, each of us wanted to finish it eventually. It'd be nice to be able to get to the point where you can watch the Endless Waltz movie, since, you know, I've admired the mobile suit designs for it so much and built a couple of them. The 00 designs are cool too. Yeah, this thing's skin is looking like a real janky, messy, patchy business right now. That's mini painting for you. It'll all come together in the end. And once this whole dinosaur is done, I can have a nice, relaxing, easy session painting the chair that gets glued to his back. That'll just mostly be black and gold. And then, of course, Kroq-Gar himself at the very end. Gonna go through a lot of this paint jar tonight, I think. Gundam Wing has far better memes that I've seen compared to Gundam 00. The only Gundam 00 meme I can think of is something about Trans Am. Or is that... No, I don't think that's Seed. That's the problem. I haven't seen Seed or 00, except for 3 episodes. You know, it's hard to... I've seen a decent amount of Gundam shows, but there's a lot of them. It's hard to watch them all. I wish there were, like, you know, some Warhammer animes I could talk about just as much as Gundam ones. Not that I have a problem talking about Gundam on every stream, whether it's Warhammer or Gundam. I guess there's the Warhammer Plus animations, but I ain't gonna pay for that. I wanna watch them on YouTube. Like before Warhammer Plus was even a thing. Is anyone here watching gonna get Warhammer Plus, or is everyone here just a Gundam person? Or I know, Bo, you're not just a Gundam person. You know, kit bashing is always encouraged here, Nathaniel. Despite all my encouragement of kit bashing, I might, or when it comes to customizing the Rusei Go that I built yesterday, I don't know if I'll do any kit bashing. It might be a project where I focus more on honing some other different skills. He kind of has a lot going on with his cannon and stuff already. You know, he's not like gonna be the big focus of a video or anything, so I like having more casual projects in between all the big hefty ones. I thought I came up with a pretty decent color scheme for it last night, so I'm looking forward to start planning it and executing whenever I decide to procrastinate on the work I should be doing by working on the Rusei Go. Why, thank you, Sage. Yeah, that goof was that's my most viewed video. Which makes me feel good because I put a lot of work into that video. It's also my longest one. The goof was the official start of the model Mayhem painting style, kind of. Even though the grays was the, like, prototype model Mayhem style painting. But, you know, there's still things I look back on that video and could have improved on, so can't wait till I have both Gamma Wolf's crews done, and then I can just compare the painting on all of them and see where things I tried worked out and didn't work out. And I should probably, maybe not after this next color, but at some point I should stop painting this skin to paint the inside of the mouth, because that's usually good to get done first. Yeah, my shadow work on the tail here looks a lot different from how I was just kind of slapping it on the other areas. That's alright, we'll start to get more refined soon enough. When we start mixing in more highlight. Oh, definitely missed cleaning up a seam line there. It doesn't look too bad though. You know how it is with my Seraphon / lizardman army. It's tabletop quality. It kind of has to be, considering so many of the models in there are old ones that I've had for so long. They're just not in great condition, but they're so nostalgic, I'll never really want to get rid of them. I think that's good enough to move on to the next stage of this skin, which is still going to be this Idrian flesh, but we're going to mix in some bone white. About a 50-50 mix. I'll show you on the wet palette. And maybe I add the technical contrast medium now. Actually, probably not yet. I think I'll just save that when we're blending it with the red. I'm not entirely sure yet. We're kind of figuring it out as we go. I do that a lot, figuring it out as I go. Don't get me wrong, I love planning ahead, but sometimes I just wing it. I suppose oftentimes it's a combination of winging it and planning ahead. Let's mix them. And right away that's looking like it needs just a bit more bone white. Get that mixed in. Thin that just a bit, or a bit more. Alright, let's start working with that. And this brush should still be a decent size to use for this. Alright, dinosaur skin round 2, let's go. And I think it's still okay to be like a bit messy when painting in this stage. It's also got to consider the wash that's gonna go on this too is gonna deepen those shadows some more. Yeah, I'm liking how this is looking. Stage is probably gonna take twice as long as the last one though. Especially when you take into account the mixing I gotta do. But mixing paints is pretty fun. Can't really complain too much about that. Last time I probably would have even thought to pick up this model and paint it. My painting style would have been a lot different from how I'm painting it now. I think one of the biggest things I've learned or come to realize with painting is how your highlight will always dry. Like when it's dry, it won't be as bright or vibrant as when you first put it on, which I didn't realize for years, or which like I never thought of with years of painting. So I used to like think I was doing something wrong if I painted a highlight on and it looked too bright, but now I'll question that more often and be like, oh, maybe that'll look just right when it dries and it's a bit darker and desaturated, just a bit. Oh yeah, that's coming together nicely, I think. And I feel like I've been able to get the camera to focus on it pretty decently this session, for the most part. Oh, except for that moment. It's hard to remember to focus the camera when you're in the zone painting sometimes, alright? Feel like you're all forgiven of that. Maybe before I go on to any highlights of the skin beyond this, I should switch to working on the red sections to solidify what I'm gonna do with that. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll switch to painting the toes like I mentioned, or the inside of the mouth. So I should save those areas for when I'm feeling tired or frustrated, because they'll be a bit easier and straightforward. Well, you can subscribe for free, Sage. Are you talking about a channel membership instead, or the Patreon? And you don't have to feel bad if you can't support the channel financially in any way. You know, I appreciate you showing up to the streams or watching the videos. Just enjoy the content however you like. Nice, Nathaniel. Better start your Forbidden Sprinkles collection going. These two sides of the tail look a little uneven. One's brighter than the other. It's not too bad. We should probably move. Okay, let's finish up this crotch area and then we'll move on to one of the legs. So as you can see here, I'm just going for some really rough highlights now. Like some of this is getting in the cracks where the shadows should be, but there's gonna be so many more layers going on top. Like I gotta just be rough and fast to get through it because it's gonna take a while. And we'll have a nice wash to tie everything together at the end. Washes are always nice and forgiving. Well, almost always. Well, Sage, if your parents are controlling who you can subscribe to, that's unfortunate, but I can't really comment on your parents. But you can tell them my channel is safe for work. I don't think I've sworn in any of my videos yet. Pretty harmless nerd content. Maybe went on a bit too thick there on his ankle. But like I said before, it'll dry to look not quite as bad as it does now. More or less. And yes, again, we're painting the toes, which are hard to show on camera. Oh, I definitely missed base coating this part. Or at least that side of the toe. Ah, the real grade unicorn. I've heard that's a fun one. If I was gonna build a unicorn, it'd probably be the real grade. Unless I somehow got my hands on the master grade extreme, although if I was gonna build that, I want to build it with someone, you know, make a date out of it. After an entire day-long hobby date. You just build a grueling master grade extreme kit. If Bandai gave the option to buy the master grade extreme, like just the kit with the basic weapons and without the whole full armor and like docking base stuff it came with, I'd probably opt for that. I guess that's not really in the spirit of the master grade extreme name, which is fair. And these lights are pretty bright on my head. Yeah, that's a little better. It's a little contrasting. Yeah, what other Gunpla videos you been watching, Sage? There's a lot of fun, different Gunpla content to be found on YouTube. Just like with mini painting. Seems like Gunpla, the Gunpla scene definitely has a different vibe to the mini painting scene. I feel like the mini painting scene's a bit bigger. It's interesting to compare the two. I don't actually know if like the scenes in general, if Gunpla is bigger than mini painting, but I think mini painting is the bigger hobby of the two. Just because there's more companies involved putting out miniatures and stuff. And like more aspects of the hobby like to be involved on the gaming side as opposed to the painting side. Okay, we're gonna have to mix up some more of the skin tone now. Well, Sage, I hope eventually you're allowed to subscribe to a bunch of different YouTube channels that do Gunpla content. Because there's plenty out there. Oh, I found a sprinkle on the desk. Look at that. I need to do a deep clean of my room soon. There's sprinkles and dust hiding everywhere. It's not great. Stepping on a sprinkle isn't as painful as stepping on Lego, but it's not exactly fun. Yeah, I find the Gunpla community is pretty forgiving when it comes to having not watched the shows, Bo. I think it's because, like, there are just a decent amount of builders out there that haven't watched the shows and are only really in it for the model kits. Which I think's fine. Lots of people are into the Warhammer games to paint the minis and not actually play the game. I've sure painted more or put a lot more time into painting the minis than I have playing the games. And I know I'm not the only one. You watch any more Iron-Blooded Orphans, Bo? If so, hope you're having a good time doing so. Ah, nice, Nathaniel. I think if you follow a guy, Leonel Builds on Instagram, he makes YouTube videos as well. I think on his Instagram story today, he was posting some like gap filling plastic cement mixture he made that you could, that's like one of the potential uses you could use forbidden sprinkles for. You make some plastic goop that you can fill gaps with and stuff. That's the main practical use I can think of for sprinkles, but you don't need that many sprinkles to do that. So I gotta be more creative and come up with more solutions. I haven't had a good reason to make the plastic goop myself yet. Yeah, that would be a good time to get into Gunpla. You get all hype about Barbatos watching Season 1, and then you go buy a Barbatos. Bandai has that customer experience down. Watch show with Cool Mech, buy model kit of Cool Mech. That's how Gundam first got its stride, I think. I'm pretty sure that's the story anyways. The show wasn't that popular, but the model kit, or like slash toy of the RX-78-2 got more people interested in actually watching it. I feel like I watched a YouTube documentary, something about that. Might have been on Crunchyroll's YouTube channel. Oh, this poor Carnosaur needs to eat some more. I can see his ribs. Sprinkles into missile pods. I would probably have to cut mine in a more, or clip mine in a more deliberate way to get something I could use as missile pods for mine. I've used polycaps as like missile pods on my goof. Can make some sort of meta kit bash where it's the forbidden sprinkle monster or something. Just ruin a model by gluing a bunch of sprinkles to it. Well, it's a slightly awkward crack to get in. Sorry, y'all, just gotta look at the bottom of his base for a moment. A Mad Max style Gundam with sprinkles and weapons attached to it haphazardly. Yeah, that would be funny. Reminds me of someone was asking about 40k Gundam kit bashing last night. And I think I brought up orcs or something. Orcs have a very Mad Max style kit bashing to them a lot of the time. Probably some 40k orc stuff that's just straight up Mad Max inspired. There's a good angle. Yep, so far painting this skin is about as much as an adventure as I thought it would be. It's gonna be interesting when I start trying to figure out what to do with the red hide sections. Sorry, I think I just bumped the mic with his tail. Sorry if that sounded awful. Yeah, after this pass of skin tone, I think I'll probably take a break by painting the talons black. Should be nice and relaxing. Less guesswork to do. And maybe just add a little bit more to this. Looks like it just has a bit too much bone white in it right now. And this will probably be the first, or hopefully be the first stream without some sort of technical error on my part. Last time I started it off a bit rocky, but kind of, you know, managed to save it in the end. But I had the Kroq-Gar Grymloq text displaying when I should have it say Gundam Flaros instead. Well, at least that meant for this stream. I didn't have to change it back to Kroq-Gar Grymloq. Just that, you know, it's not really a mistake that matters. It's just like a slightly annoying mistake. Like, ah, dang. That was one small detail I missed. But, you know, it's just a stream. It's a lot more casual. I don't put the same kind of pressure on myself to have a video that's as polished as my usual uploads. That's why it's a stream, I guess. Or that's what streams are for, I mean. Sorry about the jittery focus there. Where was I? Right, this side of the neck. Whenever I get around to finishing this Kroq-Gar Grymloq model on the stream, I was thinking of celebrating by streaming a battle or two of Total War Warhammer. to celebrate, because I have, you know, a campaign going where you can play as Kroq-Gar. So the Total War addict in me was like, oh hey, that's an excuse to stream Total War, right? If you paint the model, then you can celebrate by streaming a battle. I don't know, would any of you watching be into that, or would you rather I just keep painting? I don't know what I'd do with it, Sage. It's not a kit I've thought about buying before. It hasn't inspired me with any specific projects in mind, so usually usually when I buy a kit, I don't always have something in mind. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes the box will sit on the shelf for a long time before I get inspired to do anything in particular with it, so not sure what I'm not sure if I'd do the Crossbone Gundam for Gamma Wolves or not. It's got that really specific kind of pirate aesthetic, so I'm not sure if that would fit in with my neon base painting style. Alright, this skin it kind of feels like it's all over the place still, which is because it is. So I think we're going to take a little break from the skin and paint those talons black. Because, oh, the black paint is not here, behind me. This has opportunity to stretch. Get some black on the WAP. And I'll probably have to go back and do... This paint is pretty, like... Usually takes a couple coats to get a nice finish on it, so... Might as well do one coat on the nails now, because I'm gonna have to go back to it eventually towards the end of painting this dino. And as you can see, I was kind of painting one set of toes already on the bottom here. And you know, we'll probably get some black on the skin accidentally in this stage. So it's a good thing we're not like, we haven't fully highlighted the skin yet. I feel like with the skin, we're kind of still in the stage of blocking in the color in a way. Yeah, definitely got a bit of black on the skin there. Whoops. And adding those black toenails really adds a lot, I think. It's a nice contrast. Get some nice crispy edge highlights on there and look nice and sharp. Let's paint more toenails. Or claws or whatever. Talons. Probably slopping this on a bit too thick. Consider this a teaser for the nail art special. Ha! Don't know when that's coming out, but gotta make it happen eventually. It's on the long list of projects. Don't worry. That one's gonna primarily be a blue Parappa project though. And we're on the last set of toenails now. His teeth aren't going to be black though. That would look a little weird, I think. We've been going for about an hour and a half, not bad. I said to myself I would shoot for about 2 hours of streaming tonight at least. Don't think this one's gonna be as long as tomorrow's stream. Or yesterday's stream, I mean. What even is time anymore? Alright, look at those nice toes. And I think before we move on to the main skin blending, we should paint the inside of the mouth. Actually, before that, I'll just use that. There's still a decent amount of black on the palette. I'll just give a quick second pass to the toes that I think need it. Might as well avoid risking the paint bleeding all over the palette later. Don't know when I'm gonna stream this again next, but you know, if I can keep maintaining the same wet palette without having to set up a new piece of paper, that'd be nice. I don't know, I've never really tried to stretch the length of a single session's wet palette like to the extremes before. I don't really know what the limit is. I don't know if I've had it last longer than a week, or well, I guess I have, longer than 2 weeks, I should say. I haven't seen the gun primer gate remover set, Nathaniel. So I don't know if I'm gonna get it. I don't have any particular need for any new tools right now. Or I'm pretty content with the sanding supplies I have. So I don't think I need to get any more until I wear down my current sanding supplies a bit. Alright, bye Sage. Thanks for coming by again. Hope to see you next time. Okay, right, I was gonna paint the inside of the mouth. Use terracotta, but I think I want to mix in a little something. Maybe just a little bit of purple. Purple that's on the wet palette here is long since dried. So let's just add a little bit of this violet red from before. And we're mixing. Too bad there's a bubble in there. The terracotta bottle I'm using is kind of close to being finished, so it's got that problem where it makes bubbles. I think I want just a little bit of black in that too. Sure, I'd say that color will work for the inside of a mouth. Alright, now we really gotta just jam the brush in here. Open wide. Oh boy, there's a fiber stuck to him I gotta remove. Another problem with having models that sit half painted for a long time. They accumulate stuff like this. I think got it. Alright, back to painting that mouth color. Focus there, more or less, okay. Open wide, Grymloq. Time to paint you some nice healthy gums. And then I'll get to brush your teeth later. And we need to get that cheek webbing area too. Yeah, like right here. Yeah, I feel like we should add, well, probably at least another coat for that mouth color. Just maybe a more purpley this time. Let me think. Yeah, I should probably just keep that purple out, eh? Let's just have a little bit of terracotta. Just a little. We ain't even gonna squeeze the bottle. Maybe this is a little too purpley, but it'll probably be fine after I give it strong tone. Because you know the inside of his mouth has to get the strong tone as well. And yeah, I'm not sure how I'm gonna paint the dinosaur's eyes either. Lots of stuff to figure out on this one. I mean, the more detailed part of the model is probably Kroq-Gar himself with all of his armor and fancy weapons and everything. But like, I know how I'm gonna paint that part. It's figuring out this skin that I've known is gonna be the most time-consuming part. Okay, I think what we need to do next is figure out a better way to blend the red and the tan together. So I think what I'll do first, or I'm gonna try to do first, is you're gonna thin down terracotta with this technical contrast medium, and then just kind of fill in the shadows of the hide and like the, oh wait, no, we're gonna mix these, but with a bit of Idrian flesh. That's what I want to do. Yeah, we're just gonna mix some terracotta and Idrian flesh and see how that works for starting to block in some shadows. Running a little low on room on the wet palette. We should be able to do this here. Awkwardly squeeze out a bit too much. I love the P3 paints, but I'm not a huge fan of their paint pots. Just saying. Oh wait, we're thinning with contrast medium. Okay, well let's just mix this a bit here. I think we need more Idrian flesh in that mix. Now this part's definitely gonna get a little experimental. Let's see how it works. Start thinning it with this contrast medium. Oh, whoops, I don't want to put it back in the pot there. I wish this was in a squeeze bottle. I'm too lazy to transfer it myself. And yeah, I think we're just kind of wanting to lay this stuff down along the transition zone. Should probably focus my brush strokes in the other direction though. Well, I don't know, this stuff will dry and be pretty thin. Whoops. Well, so far it looks like it might work. I think maybe before we do this we need more of just a solid terracotta. We need to block in the line of terracotta, so to speak. So let's just hop on over to the other side of this pile of paint on the palette. Try to work a bit differently. So we got this line of scales here that was kind of got a highlight it shouldn't have, so I think we need to darken that edge down and then focus on building up the gradient. Whoops, I'm just showing you the bottom of the base again, my bad. Yeah, let's just focus on the tail for now so I can solidify what kind of blend I want to do here. Alright, I like how this experiment's turning out. Okay, I think we just need to stick to pure terracotta for now and just define the edge of the terracotta zone of the red hide, and then we'll work on the blend after that. Might get a little tricky for certain patches of the hide, but just gotta paint bravely, as Brent and Casey say on their Paint Bravely the podcast. I still might preserve some areas of the red airbrush from before, like random weird highlights and shadows I got going on in here, because this area I'm probably just gonna like do dry brushing over top of it, because I don't know, part of me wants to keep the janky airbrush, or like part of the janky airbrushing maintained in there, just maybe for a personal touch, just a little bit of mayhem thrown in. Now I have to be a bit more, or I have to make more actual decisions as I go. I need to decide where the line between red and tan is. Figure it out now so we can blend it later. Yeah, with some of the parts on these toes, I'm not entirely sure where I even want to have the blend start. Like these knuckles on the toes, I was originally thinking they would stay tan, but now I'm kind of blocking in some of that terracotta, as you can see. You know, these areas are areas where like there really is a lot of blending into each other, so as you can see, I'm not putting on as solid as of a coat on there. Here. Yeah, this could be some interesting blending, all right. And yeah, like there's a kind of scaly looking patch on the bottom here, but it's like the bottom of the foot, so I kind of just want to leave it like that. I'm not entirely sure. Comes to stuff like this, I don't usually look at references. I kind of just decide on how I want to bring out the detail myself. So I still use reference photos though, don't get me wrong. I'm not above that or anything. Nothing to be ashamed of using reference photos. Yeah, maybe I will put a bit of terracotta on those parts. Shoulder binder from the GP02. So you gave, so you kit bashed on some new shoulders then, or you're... Does the GP02 have really fancy shoulders? Oh, never mind. Can't wait to dry brush these sections. This is one bumpy boy. Oh, that sounds cool. Extra thrusters, that's usually pretty fun. That's alright, you don't need to be sorry. Thanks for sharing what you're doing for your kit bash. Oh yeah, this area needs lots of terracotta. The more of this I paint on, the more confident I am in this skin experiment working. I'm feeling pretty in the zone with it right now, TBH. For all 4 of you watching. Why hello, MH Comics Invictus. Yeah, glazing, glazing's pretty fun. I only really started doing it to that extent when I started painting the goof like that. And like I used it on miniatures a bit before, but only for small things like glasses and lenses and stuff. And now I'm just doing it everywhere, all over those smooth panels. And it's worked out pretty well. And glaze medium, you know, you can just use it to thin paints in general. Doesn't necessarily have to be for glazing. Once I'm done this pass of terracotta, I'm gonna mix in some Idrian flesh, or maybe maybe the bone white, and I'll be kind of blending the areas together with a bit of a glaze, but I'm gonna be using the Citadel contrast medium instead of glaze medium. Mainly just because I wanted to try out using something different and see how it compared. Now, part of me wants the terracotta to be a little darker in some areas, but I think it's kind of fine of how it is as well. Alright, now I think what we want to do is mix in Idrian flesh with a terracotta like we were doing before. And also that contrast medium. And now we're gonna try and get a bit blendier, glazier as they say. Maybe just a tiny, do we want a tiny bit of bone white? Or do we want to save that? Because we are gonna, yeah, we'll probably, yeah, that's a good question. I think I want just a tiny bit. That's probably a bit more than tiny, but we'll deal. Let's balance by just one more drop of terracotta because there wasn't that much on the palette left. Come on. Oh, there we go. Let's mix with the crappy dollar store brush like I meant to. Oh, maybe that bone white was a mistake. Yeah, that's quite not the shade I was looking for. Back to Idrian flesh. leftover pistons. Those sound like some cool mechanical details you could add. Okay, I don't like the way the color looks too much on the palette, but it's gonna be pretty subtle once I thin it down with this contrast medium, so let's give it a shot anyways. Alright, where's a good area to test this? I guess probably the tail like before. So far it doesn't look too bad. I think that looks like a decent blend. Let's do the other side of the tail, and then maybe when it's done, this side will be dry and we can really check and see. Whoops. Good thing I remembered to close the pot. Probably the most tedious part of the skin will be like one of the very last steps where I have to highlight all the tan sections with just pure bone white, thin down with the contrast medium probably. That's gonna take a while, but that's like one of the last and most important steps to really clean it up. Nathaniel, are you posting these kit bashes to social media anywhere? You've been sharing them at all? Well, now I've got a closer look at the tail here. This area is a little messier than I want it to look, but that can be fixed with bone white when we get to that stage, and I'm happy with how the blend's looking here, so I'm gonna just keep moving forward with this plan. And then maybe we'll get to some dry brushing to wrap things up tonight. We'll see how long the rest of this blending section takes. It could take a while. Oh, sorry, I missed your question. Can Comics Invictus, do I thin my paints with water? Well, when I'm painting with acrylics, like I am tonight, usually it's water. Right now I'm thinning this color specifically with some of this contrast medium. I use glaze medium as well, like I said earlier. Usually it's water though, because I'm, you know, usually I'm thinning on the fly, so I just grab a bit of water from the pot and mix it in quick and go. And I live in a dry climate, so the paints will dry up fast sometimes, even if they're on the wet palette. So I'm just always adding more water in. Whoops. Got a bit of paint on that snake's head there. Let's just wipe that up. Crisis averted. Where was I? And as you can see with this step, it's much like all the other early skin steps. I'm going for speed over accuracy when applying this paint. The only stage of painting the skin that I'm gonna be like really holding my breath and make sure I'm painting in the lines is the last highlighting steps probably. You know, it's an organic creature. It's not gonna have perfectly painted lines everywhere. It's okay if its coat is a little chaotic. I'm still kind of on the fence as to the amount of red there on the hands, but I think I'm just gonna stick with how it is right now. Suppose it doesn't look too much different from when I first started, but feels like I've gotten a pretty solid amount of progress in. I do say the terracotta I've been using I'm expected it to turn out more red, but it kind of has like an almost desaturated salmon-y color to it with the ways I've mixed it tonight, which works for these blending sections, but I'm hoping it looks a bit more earthy. Oh yeah, in this area I should have gotten some more pure terracotta. Let's just add that right now. let's get in there. Well, I suppose if this isn't like as, or if his hide isn't as deep a rich red as usual, it might work out for the better, because I kind of already paint a lot of red things, and then there is lots of red in the lizardman army as like an accent color, so if this one's a slightly different red, maybe it'll make it stand out a bit more, like in a good way. Alright, more contrast medium. Maybe a little bit more. Miss an area over here? Not really. Now let's focus on the other side since there's paint drying there. Here we go. Projects with the amount of blending like this, I'd say having a wet palette is borderline essential. If I didn't have a wet palette, it would slow down this project significantly. I know that for sure. Maybe just a bit more blending up here. I also haven't decided what color his eyes are going to be yet. Tips to avoid streaking Comics Invictus, or MH, I'm not sure which name I should call you. Tips to avoid streaking. That's a tricky one. Like, I mean, if you're painting on a big open flat surface, it's hard to avoid streaking. Like, you want to paint on just a little bit of paint at a time. Like, you're more likely to get a streak if you gloop on like a bunch of paint all at once and drag your brush across it. If you're thinning with like thinner or glaze medium or something like that instead of just water, that'll give you easier time, because if you thin it too much with water, the paint like loses its ability to like goop together like paint, because you're mixing in more water and taking away some of the medium that's used to bind the pigments together. I think that's how it works. And yeah, you just gotta do thin layers multiple times and be patient. Okay, I think the last thing we'll do tonight is I will just switch gears a bit and move over to dry brushing and just dry brush on some red. So we gotta get our ugly dry palette for that. Oh, we can get a nice big makeup brush too. So for our reds, we've got our classic Scorn red. We got our hot orange. And then we got our terracotta from before. I think the first dry brush will do. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any blending. I think the first dry brush we're gonna do is just a general dry brush of all the hide with a mix of terracotta and Scorn red. Let's get the dry brush ready as well. I'm gonna use this one here. I guess we could probably use two. Put that brush to the side. Do I use acrylic or enamel? Well, right now I'm using acrylic. When I'm painting Gundam, sometimes use, or like when I'm doing model Mayhem painting style for Gamma Wolves, that's almost all acrylics. But I also use lacquer paints as well. I don't really have any enamel paints I use. I just haven't, you know, I've been working with acrylics for the longest, and then I only have worked with lacquers when it's been with G-Paint. So I've only broken out of using acrylics in the last year or so. And boy, has it opened my eyes. Oh, just look at that nice deep red we're getting. Beautiful. Alright, and like I said earlier, this is a very bumpy boy, so I think we can go. Don't want to, or the ridges are so prominent, we can just go fairly light with the dry brushing, but let's just see how it goes. Not seeing too much of an effect there. I think the problem is I might need more paint on the brush. This is a makeup brush. It's not quite designed for paint. It's kind of just absorbing a lot of the paint. We're getting somewhere though. Oh boy, squeezing paint out of an almost empty bottle sure is fun. Alright, let's try this again. Oh, that was a bit too much. Yeah, that's better. Focus on this large back area first. Be nice and loose. Good old relaxing dry brushing. This is going to be a satisfying model to put strong tone on, let me tell you. It's going to be my longest strong tone application ever. That won't be happening this stream though. We got a decent amount of work to do before we get there. have to switch to a smaller dry brush for some areas. Just subscribe today. Well, thank you for the subscription. You want to go paint now? Yeah, what you gonna paint? Thank you for the kind words about my content. Helps encourage me to go keep making it. Okay, I think for the rest of this dry brush, I'm gonna need to move to the smaller dry brush. Yeah, this one should be good. Oh boy, time to squeeze out more of this stubborn terracotta. There we go. Oh boy, almost at 2.5 hours already. Probably need a bit more scorn red than that. Oh boy, I sure paint a lot of red things. And I'm going to continue to do so. Let me tell you. Okay. Nice comics, Invictus. I would just suggest start with the kit you're less attached to first. And take the time to learn and experiment and figure out your stuff on that one, and then you can take the stuff you learned while working on that kit and apply it to the one that you care a bit more about. That's a thought process I apply to a lot of my projects. I shouldn't have painted red on that toe there. I'll have to fix that. I'll have to fix that when I'm doing the bone white next time. Don't let me forget. This area could have used, whoops, some terracotta earlier. Can I get away with just dry brushing it now? Yeah, that should be fine after some wash. It's such a minor area, it won't really show. Something you always gotta keep in mind with miniatures. Is it worth putting in the effort to paint that area if no one's ever gonna see it? I'm sure they might see it if they pick up the model and fully inspect it, but that's not how tabletop quality works, really. Okay, we're just gotta do this section, then the tail, and then we got one more pass of dry brushing we'll do before the end. Definitely feeling a bit of the sitting fatigue, though. Okay. Let's dry this brush. This is a pretty subtle dry brush now that I'm like seeing the whole model. It hasn't changed that much, but this is kind of like to just keep all the hide a bit more consistent throughout the whole model. Because the next dry brush, which is going to be the fiery orange, that's going to be like the highlighty dry brush. Which we're going to do now. Hot orange. Sorry, not fiery orange. And we also want to be, I'll show you the cloth here. This is like where I'm just wiping a big patch of this stuff. And I'm almost kind of blending the orange together with the red on this paper towel here. Question is, how loaded do I want the brush to be? Probably only use this big brush for the larger sections like I did before. And I gotta be a bit more conscious of how lighting works here and make sure that the brightness is coming from above. I mean, that looks pretty orange now, but that is gonna dry and that is gonna get wash put on it eventually. Oh yeah, I'm liking how that's looking. I'm going a bit too rough on it though. I've seen some cool paint jobs of this Carnosaur model where there's like stripes or patterns put into the hide as well. If I didn't have so many other projects I needed to do, maybe I could afford to put the time into doing something a bit more fancy like that, but this model also has a lot, like when Kroq-Gar's on top and everything, it has a lot going on already, so I don't know if the dinosaur like also needs an extra pattern going on, creating more visuals for your eyes to get drawn to. Having just like a vibrant red hide is nice as well. Probably need a bit more orange on the palette. I can see the finish line for tonight's stream. We're almost there. What have y'all been thinking of this dinosaur painting stream so far? Excuse me. I hope I haven't had the model out of focus too often. I'm almost tempted to do one more round of dry brushing after this with just a tiny bit of yellow mixed in. Just for the lightest, most gingerly of dry brushings. More orange. I'm really giving my brushes a workout tonight. I mean, dry brushes always get kind of beaten up. That's why they're dry brushes. But now is really their time to shine. It's a scaly dinosaur. It's just asking to be dry brushed. Okay, we'll do the rest with the small dry brush. Don't know why I started a new patch of orange on the towel for that, but I did. Let's focus on these back areas first. Oh, this brush is getting beat up. Don't make it too orange now, careful. Almost there. Just a little bit on the mouth here. Okay, we're on to the last dry brush, people. We just need to find another dry brush that's actually dry. And just need to grab a tiny bit of yellow. I guess we gotta grab it from here. Yeah, this nice vibrant yellow. Just gonna mix a little bit of that into the orange. Let's not mix it with the dry brush this time. You gotta be really light. I think I want a little bit more yellow in there. Okay, just gotta be really light on this one. This one's only gotta be for the ridges, like on the very back and here, kind of the spiky arm bits. Let's give it a shot. Yeah, that's creating a bit of division between kind of the different ridges on the guy. Oh yeah, it looks really orange from here. Hopefully it doesn't look too orange when I tie everything together with strong tone. You gotta just be really quick and conservative with this dry brush. Only the spikiest bits. Wonder if the mic's picking up any of this brush ASMR right now. Okay, well I think that's where we're gonna call it tonight. Yeah, maybe that patch is like a little too orange. Like I said before, we'll have to see what that looks like when it dries. Yeah, the skin feels like maybe we're halfway done on the skin now, just because the next step will be like tidying up all the highlights on the tan section, which will take a while, and putting a wash on. Then after that, I gotta fill out all the details. Yeah, hope everyone enjoyed coming to the stream. Thanks to everyone who showed up, especially if you're a returning viewer. I'm not sure when the next stream will be, but there'll definitely be more Gundam streams and more mini painting streams. I mean, definitely for this guy, because he's not done yet. But for the next little bit, I definitely need to be working on the next regular video for the channel. But as usual, if you want to stay up to date on when I'm streaming, just follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll make a YouTube community post too. Alright, so with that, I think I'm going to end the stream now. Thanks again for coming, everybody. Bye-bye.